Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cyberbytes podcast. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Mark. And Jenny, we've got something pretty thought-provoking to dig into today. Something that's got me thinking about the future of security.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. We've been keeping tabs on Akto for a while now, but their latest move with the Agentic AI Suite. It feels like a real departure for API security, doesn't it?
It really does. When I first heard about autonomous AI agents working across different layers of API security, finding hidden APIs, analyzing code commits, even monitoring runtime traffic, I paused and thought, okay, this is the interesting part.
Right? And operating in real time? That seems like a significant shift from how many security processes have worked historically.
Precisely. Consider the usual approach. Periodic scans. You run a scan, get a snapshot of vulnerabilities, and then hopefully you address them. But what happens in between? You're potentially open to attack. This idea of continuous protection suggests constant vigilance, reacting to threats as they appear.
So it's less like checking the locks once a day and more like having a security force watching the premise all the time, and who can also, automatically board up a window if it shows signs of breaking.
Chuckles. Yeah, that's a useful way to picture it. It moves beyond just simple detection. These agents are designed to analyze behavior, understand context. Akto's research even mentions these agents potentially reducing false positives by around 62% compared to previous methods they benchmarked against.
62%? That's a considerable difference. False positives. They can be such a drain on security teams. Spending time investigating alerts that don't turn out to be actual threats is, frankly, exhausting.
It is. And imagine freeing up that energy for the more complex, human-intensive threats that require deep analysis and creative problem-solving. Akto's CEO, Ankita Gupta, articulated this idea of AI acting as a force multiplier for AppSec teams.
A force multiplier? Yeah, that resonates. It implies the AI is enhancing human capabilities, taking on the more routine and repetitive tasks, so the human experts can focus their skills elsewhere.
Exactly. And the data from their early adopter trials is notable. A 67% reduction in reported API attacks. Now, as you mentioned, these are internal trials, so it's important to look for independent validation over time, but it's a strong early figure.
Agreed. It's a promising data point to start with. And integrating this directly into platforms like Slack and Teams, that makes continuous monitoring feel more practical for DevSecOps teams who are already operating within those tools.
Definitely. Meeting teams where they are, it helps streamline workflows. And looking at their future plans, they seem quite forward-thinking. Multi-agent orchestration, for instance.
Multi-agent orchestration? Okay, walk me through that. Is that concept similar to different specialized AI agents collaborating to build a more complete security picture?
That's the idea. Think of it as each agent having a specific area of focus. Perhaps one excels at identifying shadow APIs, another is skilled in static code analysis, and a third specializes in runtime traffic patterns. Multi-agent orchestration would involve these specialized agents coordinating, sharing insights, and forming a more cohesive defensive structure.
That concept sounds powerful. Almost like a coordinated security effort among different AI specialists, and they're even considering quantum-resistant authentication protocols. Are they really anticipating threats from quantum computing already?
It seems so. While perhaps not an immediate, widespread concern today, the potential for future quantum computers to potentially impact current encryption methods is a discussion point within the security community. Developing quantum-resistant methods now is a step toward preparing for that longer-term potential shift.
That's thinking several steps ahead. So, if we were to summarize, Akto's Agentic AI Suite appears to be pushing the boundaries of API security concepts, moving towards a model of autonomous, continuous protection?
That's right. It feels like a step in the direction of ACI not just assisting, but actively participating in maintaining security posture, which in turn allows human talent to focus on the more complex and novel challenges.
And speaking of those challenges, while the promise of AI handling routine tasks is appealing, we should also consider potential downsides. What about the risk of over-reliance on AI? Could teams become less vigilant, assuming the AI will catch everything, potentially missing subtle anomalies a human might spot?
That's a fair point. It touches on the criticism of potential skill atrophy if guard complacency sets in. The design emphasis on AI as a force multiplier, rather than a replacement, is key here. The idea is a hybrid workflow, where AI handles volume and velocity, but human oversight and critical thinking remain essential for novel threats or complex incidents. It's about augmenting, not eliminating human expertise.
Okay, that makes sense. It highlights the need for a balanced approach. And how about data privacy? When these autonomous agents are analyzing code commits and runtime traffic, aren't they potentially accessing sensitive data? That could raise significant compliance concerns, especially with regulations like GDPR.
That's another important consideration. Data privacy is paramount. While the script the research mentioned didn't go into explicit detail, security tools operating in these environments need robust built-in privacy measures. This could involve things like localized data processing, strong encryption of data in transit and at rest, or anonymization techniques where possible. It's an area where vendors need to be very transparent about how data is handled to build trust.
Transparency is definitely important. And even with the reported reduction in false positives, which is great, what about false negatives? Could an overly contextualized AI agent potentially miss a truly novel attack vector because it hasn't been trained on anything similar?
Good question. While the goal is to reduce misses, the potential for contextual blind spots and novel zero-day exploits is a reality. AI's strength is often in identifying patterns within its training data. Attacks that deviate significantly from those patterns could potentially be overlooked, at least initially, until the AI is updated or a human intervenes based on other indicators.
So it reinforces the need for that human oversight and perhaps diverse detection methods beyond just the agentic approach initially.
Precisely. It's another reason the force multiplier framing and multi-agent orchestration concept is interesting. Different agents with different specialties might increase the likelihood of catching something, even if one agent misses it.
And finally, there's always the question of vendor lock-in, right? With a proprietary multi-agent system like this, could organizations become heavily dependent on Akto's platform, making it challenging to switch to another tool down the line if their needs change or a better solution emerges?
That's a common concern with any specialized security solution. Organizations need to carefully evaluate the platform's integration capabilities with their existing tech stack, the ease of data export, and the overall flexibility of the system over the long term to mitigate some of that lock-in risk.
Those are all critical points for listeners to consider when evaluating such advanced security tools. It's not just about the cool tech, it's about practical implementation and the potential challenges. We should definitely pose some of these questions to our audience after the episode.
A good idea. Perhaps we could ask listeners, what's one scenario where you would still want a human overseeing an AI security agent? We could get some interesting real-world insights submitted via voicemails.
Oh, I like that. And maybe, if you caught an autonomous agent flagging a false positive or worse, potentially missing something important mid-deployment, what would be your immediate first step? That could spark a good debate.
Definitely. Let's encourage that interactive discussion. So, wrapping up our initial dive into Akto's Agentic AI Suite. It's a noteworthy development that signifies a move towards more autonomous, AI-driven security. But it also brings up important considerations about human-AI collaboration, privacy, and the nuances of detection.
Absolutely. It's fascinating territory, and we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this and reporting back as more independent data and real-world deployment results become available. This is just the beginning of understanding the impact of these autonomous systems.
You bet. It's a complex but important evolution in the security landscape. All right, that brings us to the end of this somewhat deeper dive. Thanks for navigating through these points with me, Jenny.
Thank you, Mark. It was an illuminating conversation. And thank you everyone for listening and considering these aspects with us. We'll catch you next time on Cyberbytes.
See ya.